Hi there, this is a quick video tutorial on setting up the lesson module. First of all, go ahead and open the course that you're going to go to. To create the lesson module, navigate to the section you'd like to add the lesson module to. Click Add an Activity or Resource in that section. And then navigate down to Lesson, select it, and select Add. So now let's name our lesson. I'm just going to call this one Lesson 1. The description of the lesson is the overall description of the lesson, not the particular content. And while you can set up lots of different options in appearance and availability, when to make it available, when to close it, you can even set a time limit right here for how long a student has to complete the lesson. You can choose to allow them to try questions again. You can allow student review. You can allow multiple attempts. By default, it doesn't allow a review and it only gives the students one attempt. And finally, you can create a maximum grade and choose to put it in a grade category if you have grade categories assigned. You can allow retakes or set it up as a practice lesson where they can go through multiple times and get no grade in the grade book. I'm going to leave all of these defaults set as they are, though you're free to go through and change them as you prefer. It'll work just fine with the defaults as they are. So now that I've saved this lesson, I'm ready to start adding questions. What would you like to do first, it asks us? Well, let's add a content page. This is pretty straightforward. The content page is just some information that the student's going to need to view before moving on. So we'll just call this page 1. And let's imagine that I wanted to add a YouTube video to this page. So here we are. I've navigated to the video I'd like to integrate. It's this basic Moodle use video. I'm just going to click share, and I'm going to copy this link right here. And then when I go back to the page that I was working on, I can simply click the link button, paste that URL in there, and create link. And so now this active hyperlink is going to embed in my lesson as a video. So I can go ahead and give the student some instructions here. Okay, so I've given the student some directions. View this video before moving on in the lesson. Make sure you pay attention to the drag and drop file upload feature. You've noticed probably in some of the lessons, if you've taken the Fundamentals of Online Teaching course, this is what I've been doing in those lessons, the integrate video with instructions. So now the content is where it's going to go. It's going to create a button at the bottom of the page for every one of these contents. So for example, I just want to continue and I want it to go to the next page. So if I go ahead and save the page, we'll see here we've got page 1, which I created. That's what I titled it. And then if we preview it, you'll see that the video will play right here in the page, and my instructions for the student to view the video paying attention to a particular item. Then they would click continue, and that would take them to the next page. But of course, we don't have another page defined yet. So let's add a question page. So I'm going to click add a question page. Let's just do a multiple choice one. I'm just going to call this page 2. Now the page contents are my question. So maybe I want to say which is the best color. So notice that in these boxes I can add anything that I want to. So maybe I want to say blue, but I also want to integrate a image of something that's blue. So maybe I'll just add a quick vase here. Notice that's a little too big. I'm going to show you just a quick real trick, a trick very quickly. If I have selected the picture and I click this picture icon, I can make it substantially smaller. Let's say I only wanted that to be 50 pixels instead of 400. Then I can create a very small image there that makes a lot of sense for the student. So blue is one option. Maybe this is a correct answer. So in the response, this is what the student sees if they select this answer. And they'll jump to the next page. if they answer this question. Of course, I could make them jump to the previous page and rewatch the content if I want to. That's up to you as a teacher. And their score here, they'll get a point for answering this one. So let's imagine the answer for number 2 is green. I'm going to add a green frog picture. Again, I'm going to make it small. I only want it to be about 50 pixels. So now we've got a frog, and we can say green. Now, I can give the students some feedback so they get information based on their answer. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to jump to the next page anyway, but I'll give them a score of 0 so that I know they did not score well. Now if I click Save Changes, now we can see that we've got the content page. If we open up a preview, we've got this video that we can watch. If we click Continue, it'll take us to the multiple choice page. If I select blue and click Submit, you'll see the response shows up here, so I get immediate feedback on my answers. So lesson can be used as a formative activity to help students learn through the process of going through the quiz. So those are the basics of the lesson module. So again, if you want to add questions, you can add a new page, and also if you want to research clusters and branches, feel free to go ahead. That will allow you to define multiple different paths within the lesson so that students, as they answer certain things, can go in different directions. You can also select, when you're editing a question, any page that you've already created. For example, if instead of the next page, I wanted them to go to page 1, any page that's already created will show up in this jump menu, so that if they answer a certain way, you can send them to a particular page or a particular series of pages. So you can use lesson to create a branching structure where students get feedback tailored to the answers they've given so far. So feel free to play around with that a little bit. The lesson module is very powerful. And finally, very last thing, you're going to need to put a end of lesson page in at some point so the lesson actually ends. So I'm just going to add a content page. And I'll put in the final jump, end lesson, and then you'll see there's an end of lesson in that drop-down menu. So now I've created a really quick and easy lesson. Go ahead and get started for it on yourself, and if you need help, don't hesitate to contact me. All right, thanks a lot.